Vehicular entertainment. Test Miles with Nick Miles.
Sunday morning. Yes! Yeah! Welcome to Sunday! At Test Miles, we're back in the studio preparing for the next hour of Cartacular Entertainment. I'm Nick Miles, your host, a car lover, slightly crazy world traveler. Brad Boyer is here representing maturity, reason, and the evidence of what a wild life will do to you. Good morning, Brad.
Good morning. Speaking of wildlife, I landed from Savannah, Georgia at 2 in the morning, so I'm ready to go. No sleep.
Really?
I'm good to go. Open container laws in Savannah. Good times.
I can just imagine you on the plane there go, radio show to do, and I get home. Sean Walker is here representing what happens when you spend your inheritance on cars instead of your future. Good morning, Sean. How are you?
Good morning, Portland. I am fantastic.
And you had a good week with me. We traveled the globe. We were also, strangely enough, in Savannah, Georgia. We talked on the phone with Brad, but we never actually saw each other.
No, we didn't. But Georgia, we were in South Carolina, maybe a half hour away from there. But
we landed in Savannah, Georgia, and drove over the border.
So we were there for a whole 20 minutes.
Yes, exactly. And Andrew Awesome is here, and he can't drive, but he can dance, and he's crazy about cars. Good morning, Andrew.
I am such a good dancer, and I'm so crazy about cars. In that order.
I could give people website information where they could go and see you dance.
Nick, if this whole radio thing doesn't pan out, I'm just going to go ahead and be a dancer. I'm going to Juilliard.
The Academy?
Yes.
Ballet?
I have a standing order that whenever I want to make the jump, rivet, leap, I can do it.
Awesome. Are we ready to get going with the show?
I think so.
All right. So let me tell you a little bit about this. We first saw the Honda Fit. It arrived in showrooms at 2001. It was called the Honda Jazz in several countries around the world, a subcompact car manufactured and sold by Japanese motor company Honda. In 2010, sales of the Honda Fit surpassed 3.5 million in July of that year. It's a four-door, two-wheel drive, front-engine, mono-spaced vehicle, which is famous for something called magic seats and a spectacular interior. Its competition is the Ford Fiesta, the Nissan Versa, and the Nissan Versa Note, I should say. They've added Note to the car this year, and the Chevy Spark, along with the Fiat 500. Now, the Fit is new for 2015, and it marks the third generation of Honda's Fit. Joining us is Honda expert and Western Region Public Relations Manager, Chris Martin. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Chris.
Is he there?
He should be.
Chris, are you there? Can you hear us?
Now is he there?
All right,
No.
Maybe Chris isn't. All right. Did you just kill Chris for us?
I didn't mean to.
This is a great start to the show. Well done.
Yeah. Sorry.
Maybe he didn't like you talking about all the competition.
Now I don't know what button to push.
There
we go. Good.
Somebody killed it for you. We'll get Chris in a second. I actually went on the launch of this car down in San Diego and spent some time driving the vehicle around. I had a really good time, and in fact, one of the things that Honda have done with the new Fit is made it much more, I would say, luxurious in a sense that they've learned from their high-end luxury brand, which is Acura, a lot of tricks to making the car ride nicer, handle nicer, and smoother. And of course, it's been very popular. In fact, my neighbors bought a Honda Fit because they were able to tow it behind their big fifth wheel. And that's one of the things that makes the Fit kind of cool, is because it's one of those perfect cars to put behind a fifth wheel. Have you driven one, Brad?
I haven't driven the Fit, but Honda has been slow to make some changes. Did they make some substantial changes to this vehicle? Or
yeah, it's kind of catapulted. It was sort of there in the midst of the pack, and I think what they did is they catapulted it ahead of the front of the pack. One of the reasons that this car is actually a big seller and very popular is its reliability. And we've always said this about Honda and Toyota, but definitely true. You could almost go 100,000 miles without doing anything to your car, changing oil or anything, and it would still start every morning. And that's the difference between them. But the Honda Fit on the inside, they've really, really decked the car out nicely and done a lot with it. And they've also introduced a whole bunch of new features on the car.
And then the word I heard is they're coming out with a subcompact hatchback. as well down the road.
Well, no, this is, I mean, I would call this a hatchback.
Is it a hatchback?
Yeah, I think it's a hatchback. But one of the things that we learned that sort of filtered out during the lead of this car when we went on the promotional launch of the car is that Honda will introduce possibly in New York a CUV, a sort of utility vehicle based off of the Fit. So there'll be a crossover that's based off of the Fit, and I'm hearing that that's going to be a big deal for them, a mini CUV. So that's coming too. We drove around San Diego in the vehicle for approximately a day, and I learned a lot of things about the Honda Fit that I didn't know. And one of the great things was when we went to a lunch stop, Honda had a couple of interior guys there to show us the car. They had a home organizer, and the home organizer was able to actually show us how you could pack 5 bean bags into the back of the car and 4 crates full of file folders. And then we tried to do that with the competition. We could get like 1, maybe 2 crates in, but you could get 4 into the Fit because of the magic seats.
The magic seats.
So on the interior of the Honda Fit, there are these things called the magic seats. And one of the best things of the magic seats is you can fold them flat. You can move them up so you can get a full-size bike in the back of the car. And you have to take the front wheel off. And then if you put them flat, it becomes a complete flat floor in the back of the vehicle. And that's the big difference between the Honda Fit and the competition is this interior space. The Honda engineers have managed to pack the sound deadening, the protection, the airbags into such a smaller space that the interior space of the car is now best in class.
And that's been the biggest drawback on some of these subcompacts is that you can't do anything.
Right, and I noticed one of the things that Ford engineered with their MKC, their Lincoln, or the Lincoln MKC, was instead of having a door in the back, they had the whole back end of the car lift up. So the entire lights and everything lifted up, so it gives you a bigger opening space. One of the problems with the Fiesta, although an incredible vehicle, is the back opening to get things in is so small. So there is interior room, but you can't get stuff on the inside because the back opening is so tight. And I think that's one of the difficulties with it. But with the Honda Fit, they've managed to make the back opening so big, and you can get those things like those 4 crates of file folders on the inside. Now, the other things I think where Honda win is they're making more and more of their vehicles in North America. 8 plants now in North America, which means that most of the Hondas, 96% of the Hondas that you drive in America are made in North America, which I think is one of the premium things for them. This is actually made in Mexico, and they formed a new plant in Mexico. But their best-selling cars doesn't include the Fit, although Honda have had some incredible milestones as far as building cars in North America. Now some millions and millions of cars. I think it's 20 million vehicles now built by Honda in the United States. So they're doing incredibly well.
And my 21-year-old drives a Honda, and still,
really?
I think it's like a 92 Honda.
Right. I know that.
That's just the hot car.
I have a friend
on that used car market.
Right. I have a friend who is absolutely like a broker and absolutely fanatical about Hondas and Toyotas as far as the resale value is concerned, and they are the most expensive secondhand cars because they last the longest.
I actually have a friend who has the past generation Fit and loves it because she bought it for the same reasons, for the interior space, because she has a child and a big dog, and she can carry both with ease.
It's really hard to explain, but there are videos online, and you can go to testmiles.com and look at our review of the Honda Fit, and we'll show you what we managed to get back into the back of the car. But the seats in the second row come up, and they fold up completely, so you have this giant floor space to ceiling space where you can put a whole bunch of stuff in, and you can put like a ficus plant in there, and it will stand up on the floor, and you know, I think there's probably about 3.5 feet of space from the floor to the ceiling because the seats fold completely back.
So do they do the typical Honda thing where there's about 7 different versions of that one vehicle?
No, that's an interesting point you make. They've actually pared down the number of options that you can get on these vehicles. Now you kind of buy packages. And I actually like that about Honda because what happens with a lot of American car companies, they still haven't learned that we don't want to pay all this extra for 400 different options. Honda's like a package. So you can have the Navi package, the Tech package, whatever the package be, you buy it because I want navigation, because I want the better stereo, because I want the technology in the car. And if you don't want those things, like for me, if I was buying a car, would you? And I don't know if it's the same for you guys. Would you have navigation in it?
I'd almost have to.
You would?
I would have it in there. I'll tell you why, for the resale value down the road, because most people do want navigation.
But I don't think that's right, because I use my phone.
I agree with you. I wouldn't use navigation or go out and buy navigation. The only thing it's really good for is kind of a visual feature, because my phone updates a lot quicker than half the navigation systems out there. And every year you have to go reflash your navigation to get it updated with the new roads.
Now, here's one of the things that Honda, they thought about this. And so their new Honda Link system actually allows you to use a lot of things off of your phone on the screen of the car. So you don't necessarily have to have all of those extras in a car. You can use it through your cell phone. A lot of car companies getting this. And we talked to Jason from Kingpin last week. He's talking about we're right on the verge now of where you plug your cell phone into the car and everything that's on your cell phone kind of migrates into the vehicle. It swaps what's on your cell phone screen with the vehicle. We're at the stage before that, being very fluid. What happens with these vehicles now is you plug your cell phone in, it uses the Wi-Fi on your cell phone, or it uses the apps through your cell phone to put them onto the screen in the car. We're not quite at the stage where it actually displays what's on your cell phone on the screen. We're almost there, but there's a few legal things to jump through. But Honda got that with the new Honda Link, and what ends up happening with a Honda Link system is that you can use a lot of the apps, and you can get Pandora, and you can get all those things in the car you might want to listen to. You can also, most of us will listen to FM News 101 in the car when we're driving around, or go to testmiles.com and listen to the podcasts. But those type of things are what they're doing. They're actually going towards having your cell phone integrated with the car. You had something to say, Brad?
I think it's also a generational thing. The nav systems make it easy for people who aren't as integrated with their iPhones and all.
I think it also depends where you travel, what you do, and where you go. Because I look at these and say, I know if I have a car in Portland, I probably don't use navigation. I will use it if I have to find a Southwest address that is a long way away. But I won't actually use navigation unless it's going to a part of town I'm not very familiar with. I'm very familiar with most of the town. If you say, I need to go to 2700 Knott, I know exactly where that is. I know, I can find that. So I think if you tend to stay in your area, you don't need navigation as much.
Makes sense.
All right. We're Test Miles on FM News 101. We've got a bunch of stuff still coming up in the show. We'll try and get Chris Martin from Honda back. We'll see if that's going to work. We also have coming up today, we'll look at the headlines. We'll give you the latest update on the GM recall that is coming up. We'll also be talking to David Cadwell from Cadillac. Sean and I experienced the new Escalade while we were in Savannah and actually in South Carolina. Bluffington was the name of the place. We had a brilliant week down there. Boy, Southern living, we experienced it. In fact, the hotel we stayed at had its own cottages. You didn't just have a room in a hotel. You had your own little house. And it had sort of a netted-in porch and all those things. Perfect Escalade place to stay. We'll also be talking about what we've been driving this week, and the phone lines are open as well at 503-517-6299. This is Test Miles.
This is Test Miles with automotive expert Nick Miles. Vehicular entertainment. Test Miles with Nick Miles.
It's a Sunday morning, which means that it's car entertainment all the way here on FM News 101. I'm Nick Miles. The crew's here, Andrew, Brad, and Sean. And on the phone joining us from Honda, the Western Region Public Relations Manager, Chris Martin. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm doing great.
Are you ready to talk Honda Fit?
Yeah, we can talk about everything Honda.
Everything Honda. Let's talk about these Magic Seats. I did a very poor job in the last break of trying to explain to people what the Magic Seats are, but maybe you have a better explanation.
Yeah, so the Magic Seat basically, because of the way that the fuel tank is located in the Fit, it allows the seats to fold in a number of different ways, presenting a really, really tall cargo area, but also allows the seats to fold completely flat. So the seats have multiple configurations. One of them is both rear seats down, which gives you a huge cavernous area to put in large cargo, or either one of the seats can fold down, which is kind of standard. But the trick is they fold flat, which no other car in the segment has that. But they also fold up so that in the area where you'd traditionally be sitting in the back seat, they fold up, lock into place, and it gives you a really, really tall area where you could roll a bike or put a house plant, any number of things. So it's just a lot of flexibility in cargo.
Now, where is this fit made?
So the fit is, for years it's been made in Japan for the U.S. market, but we just opened a new factory in Celaya, Mexico, and it's just gotten up and running, and it's going to give us a really good, steady supply of the Honda Fit here for the U.S., and then later this year it's actually going to start making a new small SUV for Honda as well.
We sort of alluded that may be announced in the New York Auto Show. You have how many factories in North America now?
Gosh, I think if you look at all of our manufacturing facilities, 16 total. For auto facilities, actual auto assembly facilities, let's see, in North America, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 full-on, actually 6 full-on auto manufacturers once the Celaya plant is added in there.
And this new Honda Fit, how does it rate against the competition? Because I know that's a big deal. So where are the winning points for this car?
I mean, the real trick is fuel economy and packaging. So if you look at the passenger space in that vehicle, we've actually, the outside really didn't get bigger, but on the inside we added over 4 inches of rear leg room, and cargo capacity also is class leading. So you get the biggest interior for the passengers and the biggest interior for cargo of anything in the class, but we also have class leading fuel economy. So being bigger inside doesn't necessarily mean you sacrifice fuel economy.
Now, there's something new under the hood as well, isn't there?
Yeah, it's a direct-injected 1.5-liter engine. We have 2 new transmissions as well. In the prior Fit, we had a 5-speed automatic transmission, and now we've gone with a CVT, which honestly in the past many enthusiasts thought was a punishment. But the CVTs that we've been putting out in the Accord and in the Civic have been, a much sportier experience. And I think when people drive the one in the Fit, they'll get the same feeling. Most people will drive it and maybe never even know it has a CVT. But the real benefit is to fuel efficiency. The car performs better and it has better fuel efficiency, which is really neat. And then the second available transmission for the sportier set is a new 6-speed manual transmission, which is designed to be really, really easy to drive. And it's paired with a hill start assist system in the car that we actually introduced on the CRZ a few years ago. And that actually helps people who are learning to drive manual transmissions because it holds the brake a little bit on the hill. So
perfect. Perfect.
Are you kidding me? That's awesome.
Andrew's learning to drive right now, Chris, and that's one of the things that worries him immensely is starting a car on a hill. So maybe we're making him learn to drive in a manual because we feel that there's nothing like learning to drive in a manual. So that might be the perfect car for you, Andrew.
Yeah,
Chris,
it's a talent that's going away, unfortunately. I hope more people do learn to drive. I want to keep them on the road as much as enthusiasts do.
Chris, tell me the price and when this car goes on sale and the fuel consumption.
So we haven't announced the price yet. I think we've got an embargo on a lot of this information until the 9th, so you'll hear a little bit more next week. But the price is not really moving that much from the current model. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. We're adding thousands of dollars of more content and very little price increase to the current model. And it'll go on sale on the 14th this month.
That's absolutely perfect. Now, can you tell me anything about what's going to be unveiled in New York, or is it still a secret?
It's still a little bit of a secret, but, we're going to have several things going on there. We'll have a bunch of the fits. In fact, we're going to have every color fit imaginable on display there. We've got a little bit of news about our new small SUV that we'll release. And then there's going to be a world debut of the new version of Ostimo, our humanoid robot.
Oh, wow. I can't wait for it. Chris Martin from Honda, thank you so much. I hope to see you in New York. You're listening to Test Miles. We're on FM News 101 KXL.
Vehicular Entertainment. Test Miles with Nick Miles.
Well, welcome back to TestMiles from FM News 101 KXL, your Sunday dose of more information about cars and trucks, SUVs, and every kind of modern transportation. Pit crew in the studio, Sean, Brad, and Andrew.
That's
Good morning,
me.
guys.
I'm clapping. I'm clapping.
And I'm your
Sorry, I'm typing. I can't clap right now.
You should be listening, like everyone else to the radio. I'm your team leader, Nick Miles. Now, there's a lot of interesting stuff in the news this morning. One of those is the Walmart trucks. Now, if you go to testmiles.com, we've posted pictures of these new Walmart trucks online. They look like Transformers, and Walmart are saying that this may be what their new hybrid vehicles will look like. They'll operate in the Detroit area. This is a dual-mode diesel-electric hybrid and is believed to be the first vehicle of its type. Now, 15 trucks operating around the area from their distribution center near Phoenix will be converted to run on reclaimed grease fuel, and they will. The first thing is they are supposedly environmentally very friendly, these new trucks. But have you seen pictures of them?
I saw the pictures, very streamlined, and I get the concept. But what day did this story come out?
We checked this.
Okay.
We were worried this was an April Fool's story, but we went to Walmart's website, and they still have them on. If this is a real story, I think this is great.
I think it's fantastic, but it's the two don't go together in my head. Walmart and super efficient green.
Yeah,
trucks.
I just think they look good. Well, I wasn't worried so much about the green. I wish somebody would do trucks like this forever. But
It's because it looks like a Decepticon. That's why.
Right.
Let's go down to Daimler and shame him into it.
So
now.
that's the next question is this an April Fool's or is it a real story?
No,
I think he had me
real.
I think he had me at it's powered on grease fat. I think that's consistent.
Yeah.
Have you ever driven behind a vehicle that's powered on reclaimed fryer oil?
No, I
It
don't
smells
think
like
so.
French fries. Seriously.
I like it.
Oh.
Yeah, they convert these. Portland's a huge area for this, as well as sort of some natural gas crazy guys in the area. We have vehicles here that are powered on reclaimed chip fat. So there are people that go chip fat in England. It's a deep fryer oil here in North America. I go to a lot of these restaurants where they will sell what they have used in their deep fat fryers to people who reclaim that and put it in their vehicles. It's like a huge cottage industry here in the Portland area. And they power their vehicles. They've converted diesel cars off of this.
Well, Andy and I are powered by grease fat.
All day.
Yeah,
That's how I go, yeah.
And interestingly enough, you both smell of chip oil too.
That's okay. That's
French
fine.
fries.
I wear it as a badge.
It's like driving behind someone
I
with
put it
French
behind
fries.
my ears.
The phone lines are open, 503-517-6299. You're listening to Test Miles and FM News 101. Let me tell you a little bit about this. Sean and I spent our last few days in somewhere wonderful. We would actually spend it in a place called Bluffington, South Carolina, just 40 miles from Savannah. Off of the edge of Georgia into South Carolina. Our hotel was called the Inn at Palomelto Bluff, and it's in a place called Bluffington. It's on 20,000 acres of some of the most beautiful inland waterways in the world. There's dolphins jumping out of the water. We saw them with our own eyes. It's an ancient maritime forest area and some of the most beautiful low country that America has to offer. The hotel was a gathering of private cottages. Each guest was treated to an enclosed porch, a steam room, and their own little cottage with all the amenities you can dream of. It's no surprise that Cadillac chose this location to introduce the new 2015 Escalade to the media. The location befitting a beautiful vehicle. Now, I've told you about the location and our trip. We had a better time than you could possibly imagine, but the man that introduced us to the brand new Cadillac Escalade and heads up the communications department at Cadillac with the title of Public Relations Manager is David Caldwell. Welcome to Test Miles, David.
Welcome, David.
Is he here?
Yeah.
Can you hear us, David?
Should be there.
We're having phone issues this morning, aren't we?
I don't think the phone likes us.
It doesn't?
No.
Oh.
He's...
Hear me?
There you go.
We can hear you now. Good morning, sir.
Hello, how are you guys?
And we're really great. So you have what is a very competitive, full-size luxury vehicle introduced to the world. Tell me a little bit about this new Escalade.
Yeah, it's a delight for us to redesign the Escalade, and it'll be in stores in about 3 or 4 weeks' time. At one point in time, you could say it was the center of gravity for Cadillac, kind of what we were most famous for, kind of big and bold. And of course, the name Escalade sort of, it has to live up to that legacy. It has to be powerful. It has to be luxurious. And we've done all that. But at the same time, we've made it a bit more sophisticated, a lot of craftsmanship and luxury on the interior because, in the intervening 10 or 12 years since we, kind of started down the path with Escalade, we've elevated and expanded the brand a great deal. So now it's nice to kind of bring the Escalade into line with all of the rest of the advancements that we've made in our design and technology. So it's a good opportunity for us.
Unmistakably an Escalade from the outside. Now, you said you upped the quality and the interior as well. Lots of purposeful and innovative ideas in there. It has a very interesting hands-free liftgate, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's one. This is the kind of thing that an Escalade has to be. People use them. I think these days of SUVs being merely status symbols perhaps are behind us, although, certainly presence is important. But, people use these. They use the back of them to carry stuff. Affluent folks, people that are in a position to consider luxury vehicles, they also tend to have things like boats or horses or dogs or other lifestyle pursuits that drive them into these kind of vehicles. So we looked at a new Escalade as an opportunity to raise the bar on some of those things. So a hands-free liftgate is one of those. You just kind of make a kind of a kicking motion underneath the back fascia with your foot, and up it comes. And we, fold flat the second and third seats with an electric push-button control to maximize the space inside of there. These are the kind of things, frankly, people expect from, a utility vehicle. Maybe what they don't expect so much is this sort of hand craftsmanship. We cut and sew, all of the leather in the vehicle, door trim, IP trim, etc., and really raising the level of elegance of the inside of the vehicle. I think that's where it takes the biggest leap from the previous generation.
I will tell you that, and everybody that listens to this show knows, I learned to drive on a Range Rover. I love the Range Rover. This is definitely competition. Now it drives much more like a car than it did a truck. It's smooth. It's easy to handle. And when I start to look at some of the amenities in here, you have definitely the best in class. I'm falling in love with this vehicle, especially on the interior. Tell me about the second and third row, because I've never quite seen anything that's as clever as this.
Yeah, we've got a button, so if you're getting into the car as a passenger and you're going to get into the rear, so using the rear doors, we've got a little switch there that can flip and fold the second row seat to enable just really easy access to the third in case you're going back there, or if you want to use that space for cargo. And then in the rear cargo area, we've got two sets of switches, one for the third row, actually two for the third row because it splits 50-50. And then those are push buttons to allow those to sink down into the floor. And then you can also do the same for the second row from the very back. So these were things that, the luxury SUV space, you mentioned driving Range Rovers as a kid. It's a very discrete market segment, right? Once people have the sort of lifestyle needs to be in that kind of vehicle, they tend to stay in them. Or maybe they upgrade from a smaller one, but they are SUV people kind of through and through. And so they're frankly quite expert on the kinds of things they want to see. And that was something that our buyers and competitive buyers told us they wanted, an easier access, more luxury, more flexibility on the inside. And that's just based on their own experience, because we have a lot of folks that have bought 2 and 3 and 4 Escalades in succession. So it was something that, frankly, was the voice of the people.
It's definitely a beautiful vehicle and drives really nice. You worked really hard on getting the noise down in the vehicle, didn't you? Even redesigning the mirrors.
Yeah, a lot of aerodynamics. Yes, even vehicles like Escalade, fuel efficiency is important to us, so we did a lot of aero work. And then one of the things you find is when you do aero work, you end up with not just a sleeker exterior design, but you end up with some other compensatory benefits. Noise is a bit of a challenge on SUVs because they sit so high, right, with taller A-pillars and stuff like that. So we worked on some of that. We have a totally new side structure in the vehicle that we set the doors inside of the roof rails, so the doors are a little bit inset to keep them out of the stream of air rushing past the car to control that wind noise when you're going down the road. And I think probably the best thing in there, Nick, is something that you experience every time you turn the car on, and it's now running across almost all the Cadillac line, and that's magnetic ride control, which is the world's fastest reacting suspension. It's something we use on the V-Series cars, our high-performance line. You wouldn't think of that maybe with an Escalade, but it's actually a wonderful innovation for Escalade now. It's standard on every one we sell, and it's so great in the SUV because it helps body control. And with a vehicle of this size, that's so important as you're going down the road to control the body of the vehicle that much more. So, that's one that's now in our ATS and our CTS, all of our sedans, and we've brought it into the Escalade to kind of bring it into line with all the other improvements we made across the rest of the Cadillac brand.
And, of course,
it's kind of fun for us that the Escalade, it stands out there. It's kind of a very unique vehicle. There's only a few like this in the world. But at the same time, we're able to imbue it with many of the qualities of our other vehicles.
Right, and it's a very big vehicle as well, so safety is a big deal to you guys. I love this new driver awareness package you put on the vehicle. So one of the problems I always have is when I pull into parallel park, I'm only 5'4", and I don't like to sit high in these vehicles. In fact, I like to sit fairly low, and so I can't always see the front fenders of the vehicle. But you put something in there to stop me hitting the car next to me when I pull into the parking space, right?
Exactly, yeah. Automatic front and rear braking. It's like a parking lot low-speed feature where, we've got, it all starts with the safety alert seat. And this is, quite frankly, just a vibrating seat, which sounds like fun. But in reality, it's also a great way to enhance driver vision, and we can make it directional. So if the obstacle is on your left, we'll vibrate the left side of your cushion. And the reason I like that is in addition to, it's superior to having a bunch of beeps and whistles and lights in your car because it hits you right where you live. It's also discreet, right? So if I'm driving and I'm close to something, the seat will vibrate. My wife will be sitting next to me, and she won't have any, and she won't know at all that I've nearly crashed. But,
I love that part. So the person, because I always have that problem with my other half. It's like, what are you doing? Slow down, move into the lane, and then they never know that you're really a poor driver. But that braking in the front will actually stop the car dead before it will collide with another vehicle while you're putting it into the parking space, right?
Yeah, right, and it works in the back as well with the camera system, and we don't want to use it, right? It's one of those things where it'll only activate really at the very last second.
Oh, absolutely, but knowing it's there makes you a more confident driver. David, tell me about pricing availability.
Yeah, well, available at the end of the month in the U.S., and then we'll export to outside the country later on this year. Pricing starts at $72, including destination, and it's really almost everything standard on the vehicle. There's only a couple of option packages that take it up from there, and we're really pleased to be able to upgrade the Escalade, just like we have, frankly, with the rest of our lineup as Cadillac has expanded and elevated itself.
Perfect. David Caldwell from Cadillac.
Talk to it with you guys.
Thanks, man, David. We'll hopefully see you in New York, and we've been talking about the 2015 Escalade, and I am Nick Miles. This is Test Miles. This is FM News 101, and we will have more after this.
Vehicular Entertainment. Test Miles with Nick Miles.
As always on a Sunday morning, time is skipping away from us, and we had a whole bunch of people who wanted to be on the show calling in. In fact, I don't think we have a free phone line open right now. But also, I wanted to talk about the cars we've been driving this week, and it's going to be interesting because it's going to be the duel of Sean and Brad. They have switched cars out of the Test Miles motor pool. Sean, you took the Honda Odyssey minivan this week out of the parking lot here, and this is Brad's favorite vehicle. I'm not sure it would be yours.
It's not that it's not my favorite vehicle. I just don't have kids or a family, but I did enjoy driving it. I mean, it is a very comfortable ride. I loved how you could fold the seats down and you have tons and tons of cargo room. The DVD screen in the back is like 21 inches, so you can also play dual screens, have two movies or a video game and a movie going on. The one good feature I did like about it was the dual screen, so you could have your radio up and navigation up, where most systems that you lose.
This is in
one
the
or
front,
other.
dual screens in the front.
Yeah, you have one down where you can actually have your radio stations and your presets up, which I love to have because I love to see what station I'm listening to, or I'm one of the type of people that scan through radio stations every 2 seconds.
So did you play with a Honda Minivac?
I did play with the Honda Minivac, but I didn't clean out the Honda. I actually used it to clean out my car.
That's cheating.
I don't care.
I think you should pay for that.
my car was dirty, and I was like, what a perfect time to use it.
Brad, you actually had something that Sean's recently had, was the Mitsubishi Lancer.
I heard his description that it was great. Wasn't that what it was?
Yes.
So I asked Andy
great.
if I could check that one out from the garage, and he let me do it, although...
Yeah, I'm the key master.
Yeah. And sadly, the Lancer lacks in styling. It does make it up for it. It's some performance in the all-wheel drive. But they have a CVT system, which is the automatic transmission system that we talked about. And the Honda is substantially better. This one is real noisy. And there's a way to make this car look good, and it's with the rear spoilers, and you could put the air dam on, and you get the lower models with that option. So you can get a car for $20,000 that drives very nicely. A little bit dated styling, but this gives it a little bit more.
So you like the way it drives, but you're not...
I like the way it drives, but
you're not enthused about the looks.
It's in a really tough category with the Focus and the Forte and the Civic and the Mazda 3, so that's some tough competitors.
It is tough. This week I drove the Volvo XC60, which has all their new engine choices in. Really nice with all the safety features that you expect from Volvo. It won't let you hit the car in front. Also, Andy let me check out the WRX STI, the Subaru in the launch colors. They're only making 1,000 of this in the blue with the gold wheels. That thing at a 305 horsepower will blow your socks off. And we've also been test driving the Mazda 6, which I think is one of the most beautiful mid-size sedans in America, but unfortunately lacks the driving that I want it. I want it more power inside. It does have zoom feeling. So let's talk quickly about next week's show. New York Auto Show starts in 2 weeks' time. So next week's show, we're going to have a secret preview of some of the cars that will be released in New York. Andrew, you're going to spend the week with me in New York.
Hopefully the whole week, me and you, buddy. I'm going to touch every car's door handle.
We're staying. I'm not sure I like that idea. We're going to stay in Times Square and really get the whole New York experience.
Are you going up to the Empire State Building where Mustang's going to have their?
Yeah, I think we have a Jaguar party, and we have the Mustang thing on the Empire State Building, and Land Rover's new Discovery. Loads of stuff. That's all next week on the show. We'll tell you all about what we're going to be doing in New York. Listen to Test Miles and FM News 101.